Hello and welcome finally to this episode of Technology in the Arts. My name is Brian Kelley.
And I'm John LeMasney.
And we are continuing our musical exploration as we try to construct a song. And we're going to try to take you on a behind the scenes look. I did it again.
Did it again.
I did it again. I left the blog post page open.
We were almost to a flawless episode.
I know. And and that's actually, I should stop right there. I do plan on getting these out as podcasts. I just don't have the time at this point. So I'll bulk upload them at some point to Internet Archive, and
I'm sure it'll be fine. I think that this will have value in the set, maybe even more so than it would as individual episodes.
Yeah, that's probably actually a good point. So yeah, so we are in the midst of a project in which we are going to work together, collaborate on a song, which Don and I have never. What was that?
I said we already are.
Yes, we're in the. I said we're in the midst of it. But I think it came out as mist. But we are in the midst of it, and John and I haven't worked on music together. Except for our live version of the Technology in the Arts theme several years ago. But now we are trying to collaborate on this music project, trying to create a song, and we are going to take you behind the scenes. So, John, I guess we talked last Wednesday, but I haven't talked to you since, really. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. Anything to talk about this week as far as projects?
Yeah. In relation to the arts, the Princeton Parklet is coming down. And I think I mentioned this on the last episode, but why not mention it again?
It may get flooded this weekend.
I don't know anything about that.
The latest tracking of Tropical Storm Joaquin, which will probably be Hurricane Joaquin, is not looking very promising for us.
Okay, well, maybe the Parklet will come to you, but it ain't.
You said you wanted to see it travel.
Yeah.
It may travel on its own.
The Princeton Parklet closing reception is at 4 o'clock on Monday, October 5th, and the takedown of the Parklet is going to be on Wednesday, October 7th. So please, if you are in the Princeton area, or even if you are nearby Princeton, please go visit. It really was a great project, and we're sad to see it go.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm sad I didn't get there. But yeah. I saw all the pictures, but I'm sad I didn't get there.
Yeah. Well, I think that it has planted a seed, both figuratively and literally, for me to start making again, and that's been great.
Awesome. On my end, nothing. Except I've been busy with promoting stuff at the theater.
No broken bones or triathlon?
No. Actually, well, now that you mention it, I did finally see my doctor because I forgot to go to my last appointment. I just totally forgot that I had it a couple weeks ago, and went back finally for my follow-up visit, and he basically said I'm fine. Just to keep doing the hand exercises that they gave me, at home, because I can basically, I'm basically fine. I can make a fist now, but there's a little bit of tension in here and in this part of the finger. This the tendons and all this area got bunched up for whatever 6 weeks.
Have you ever thought about doing a medical advice show?
I don't think that would be. I don't think I'd. That I. Well, I guess if Dr. Oz can have a medical advice show, I guess anybody can have a medical advice show.
Or like maybe a local weather show. That would be cool.
Well, there's so many of those. That's flooded now.
No
That's,
pun
I guess,
intended.
yeah, no pun intended. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many weather sites now. It's crazy. And that's why you get, these ridiculous snow maps and panicky storm tracks. Although it was funny, speaking of storm tracks, this afternoon, the GFS, the main US model, and the Euro model had both taken this storm out to sea, more or less. It was going to drift southwest into the Bahamas and then cut back and go out to sea. But then they sent a hurricane hunter, the recon plane, in there, and the data started coming in, and all the people I follow, the meteorologists on Twitter, are like, the initial data that was coming in was indicating that the storm was intensifying rapidly and unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, the storm's going to slow down, and that's going to push it further west towards the U.S. coastline. And sure enough, the GFS model went from out to sea, and then at 5-6 o'clock, whenever it came out tonight, basically landfall around Delaware. So that's how much it changed from the data that was gathered this afternoon. So
was the storm an inspiration for your writing, for music?
No, but it's funny you mentioned that because
it is funny that I mentioned that.
Well, I have been inspired by recent storms, because when Sandy hit, when Sandy was still unfolding, actually, I started working on the initial stages of the song that I wrote. It's on my SoundCloud profile. This will be our home again. And that basically, because I saw it was, by the next morning you could see the devastation that was happening at the Jersey Shore where I grew up. And then prior to that, I guess it was Hurricane Irene, or Tropical Storm Irene, whatever it was when it hit, that I had done a reworking of a song called Sick of You. That was something I worked on with Christian back in the 80s and early 90s. And it was this kind of like Nine Inch Nails type song.
Uh-huh.
And it used to, back in the day, we had a sample. It was actually the sample from Tangerine Dream's. What's the name of that? I can't remember the name of the song, but what they called it. But it was actually the theme for the short-lived show Street Hawk, about the 80s TV show Street Hawk, about the crime-fighting motorcycle.
Of course.
Yeah, it was like Knight Rider, but it was a motorcycle.
I understand.
And that there's a jet taking off at the beginning. There's like a sound of a jet taking off at the beginning, and that was what we used to start Sick of You back then. But I didn't have that sample anymore, and so I was going through my sounds, and the Irene was happening at the time. The wind was howling outside, and there was like a storm sound. So I used that instead at the beginning.
Cool.
So that did kind of inspire that reworking of that song.
So how about this time around? What have you been doing? Nature-based samples or anything like that?
No, I mean, because this storm, I mean...
No, not the storm, but just are you using nature at all in the song creation for this project?
I haven't so far, but I mean, I've... if I feel that it fits, I would. I mean, I like using, those type of sound effects, especially in intros and.
Yeah, and they can be played with. We could stretch the sound, or we could bounce the sound.
Yeah. And just put a ton of effects on, and just make it something entirely different. I mean it's not a nature sound, but I mean horn that you hear in movie trailers all the time, especially in sci-fi trailers. That boom, that. I mean, it doesn't sound like a horn. It sounds just like this, deafening, you know,
Yeah, and a
you
TIE
know.
fighter doesn't sound like a truck, but
Right, right. So, yeah, just put a whole bunch of effects on it and see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely starting to, there's some really doomsday scenarios with this storm coming on the weekend, and and I mean, there's a potential it could be worse than Sandy,
interesting.
and which is
So,
not good because it could be a hurricane when it hits. Actually, it could be a Category 2 hurricane when it hits.
so why don't we get back to the song?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So you've done a lot of work. So why don't you start, because you've put a lot of clips up. I've only put two, and one of those was something I worked on before this came to be. So it doesn't really fit our criteria for that. We decided we want to stay around 80 beats per minute, and that song is not. I don't know what the exact beats per minute are, but it's.
Well,
I
the
think
beat
it's
rate could be changed, but I think that
yeah.
it's more about let's start somewhere fresh and make new stuff, right?
Yeah, well, it's relatively new. And I think the idea was in my head about doing this at the time, but it was something I did before.
It's already a completed song.
No. It's just a little like intro and a verse. It doesn't. There's no chorus. There's no structure. It's just and it's not in the intro. It's not even an intro. It's basically just a build of different parts. I can.
I'll have to
We can,
look through what you
yeah, we
have.
can we can play it later. We can play it later. I mean, why don't you? Because you set up some groups and playlists on SoundCloud, and you can walk through it.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
So, all I did since last week was essentially set with Audacity, and uh, essentially just played tracks either alone or on top of one another. And sometimes I would open up a drum machine. I was using Drumbit, right? Yeah, Drumbit, just because it was an easy sequencer. Drumbit is a cloud-based drum sequencer. And just got some simple ideas down at 80 beats per minute. And use SoundCloud in order to share them with Brian and share them with you. And they're not finished ideas by any stretch of the imagination, but it was really nice to be able to put something in a public folder and say, hey, here's something that I'm working on, give me feedback. And what's really lovely about SoundCloud, and I only noticed it, I was reminded of it after I clicked on somebody else's song, like a famous producer's song, which they also use SoundCloud. It had thousands of comments along the sound, which is very common on SoundCloud, and I just happened to have forgotten. And I decided to put a comment in the track and left a note for myself about what I was thinking about that part of the song. And I realized I could do it for the entire song, and had a hell of a lot of fun, like thinking about where I wanted this section to appear and what the reasoning was for like why I made a particular sound. So I'm going to switch to my screen. And I'm going to go to SoundCloud. And here's SoundCloud. I'm logged in. And so we can see on this side, for example, this is just a regular song, and all of these little blocks down here are comments about the song. So I went into if I go into my own profile, these are all tracks that I've uploaded. There's Getting There, which is sort of how I was feeling about the track. Flamenco Vocal Sketches, which was just me going like over this one track that I thought sounded good, and I just wanted to capture the vocal idea. Slow Track Jam, which was it was like my first multi-track where I was recording drums and then recording rhythm and then recording lead and just sort of playing around with ideas. But my favorite, I think, is 80 bits per minute. Oh, was I not presenting?
I was trying to get it so that it's a full screen because I can't even see it.
So you can't see what I'm talking about?
I mean, I can see the screen, but I see it. You know,
okay. Do you want me to do something?
I was just trying to. I was trying to do something on my end to get it to work, but I guess I can't. So go ahead. No, keep going.
Sorry. I have a lot of confidence now. Okay, so at any rate, 80 beat per minute Rocksteady Failbot I liked a lot. So if we click into that, you can see that it just shows this one song. And these are all comments that I left for myself, such as super soft or aggro build or out of control literally, sort of like a cut on myself. And with
it's
more
groovy and dark here.
Yeah. With more deliberation and focus, Tumbly Joe. Tumbly Joe is a portion of the song that I named so that I sort of could think of it apart from other parts. And so, of course, gives you the ability to play. There's the drums you can probably hear. And then there's a guitar that comes in, very slow, very gentle. And it's weird, even though I'm working in the same speed at 80 beats per minute, the 2 or 3 sets of ideas that I've been working on are like kind of different. They're in the same key, or like E minor based, but I've come up with like 6 distinct sections that I feel would be good for this purpose. So, should be coming back to me now.
Yeah.
But the other thing has been Audacity, where it gives you, if you have headphones, for example, you can still listen to the track play while you are recording into the microphone. Hello?
Yeah.
And sorry, I just wasn't seeing any movement. With your headphones on, you can still play and be able to hear a little bit of yourself playing, but mostly what has come before. And you just build it and build it and build it, sort of like Les Paul style, until you have what you want. So now I feel like I'm in the refining stage. Like I feel like I have a couple good parts and I want to put it together. And also, you and I had a chat where you said, so this is going to be folksy. And I thought to myself, I hadn't really thought it would. It just sounds that way because it's an acoustic guitar. But
well, I was thinking kind of... what did I do here?
I don't know.
It's not switching back and forth. I don't know why.
You clicked on your face.
No, but I didn't have anybody selected, and it still wasn't switching back. So do I have to... Wait, do I...
I guess you gave me presentation mode.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get... All right, hopefully it works again.
I'm no longer presenting.
Okay, it's switching now. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, you weren't, but it still was kind of thinking it was. You were presenting. So, yeah, well, I was thinking kind of like an art rock, folk rock thing. Like I was... Because, I have mentioned in the past that, it wasn't in the playlist I put on Google Play, but in the playlist I had shared with you earlier, there was a lot of Midlake, and I think there was some Elbow on that, and both bands kind of have it's Midlake sometimes even ventures into psychedelic, and a kind of like a new prog thing, and I guess to some extent so does Elbow, but
didn't you retweet something today about a band?
I tweeted I saw a few albums ago, Elbow, what was the name of that album? Seldom Seen Kid, I think was There was a song on it called "Audience with the Pope," and I totally forgot to like share that over the weekend when the Pope was in Philadelphia.
He sure as hell was.
Yeah, so I thought that would have been a interesting song. It's actually very romantic sounding. So what else? And also, Guy Garvey of Elbow has and I think XPN tweeted a link to watch his new video, and I retweeted that. So he has a solo album out or coming out. So, and it's different. It's definitely different. It's kind of more bluesy than Elbow, but yeah.
Well, at any rate, as far as our song is concerned, I think that it hasn't emerged yet what it is. I think that we're just still in the idea stage.
Yeah. I was just saying, I mean, and even like a David Gray type thing where there's electronics going on, but there's kind of like this acoustic.
I imagine it will be a like come as you are get together of lots of different kinds of sounds, and
yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. So, as you were working with Audacity, which, yes, I would have loved to have done that, but obviously I only have my controller, and until we get, and this is another conversation we'll have later, but you know, I was trying to get Audio Tool to do some simple recordings a few nights ago, but it's just the learning curve is proving to be a little more time intensive than it appeared.
I would agree.
There are some latency issues. There's a lot of setup time just to basically do a simple recording. The developer, his videos on YouTube are kind of worthless because he doesn't walk you through anything. He thinks you already know like steps 1 through 8 of doing something. And I've seen that commented like a lot. Like he's like, dude, I don't know how to get to this point, and you started here. It's like recording a basic track, and it's like, well, you know how to do this. And it's like, no.
I don't know that this needs to turn into a dump into this guy who gives this tool away for free. But anyway,
yeah, you're right. But I wish I
believe I'm friends with on Facebook. So, like it, you know, give the guy a break. He's trying really hard to bring a great tool.
I understand that. And I'm a terrible instructor too, because I take things for granted that people know.
And I mean, as somebody who I was teaching earlier tonight, I love instruction. It is not for everybody.
Exactly. I'm not dumping on him. It's you know, it's just my rant at 20 after 10.
It's not his fault that he made a complex tool that you and I are too stupid to
exactly. It's exactly.
That's a more positive way of thinking about it.
Yeah, us dumb
and smart.
Yes. So
and smart, us dumb.
So actually, I'm more. I should direct my ire to the Audio Tool community that hasn't. I'm sure people are using it.
Oh, have you been to the Facebook? Have you been to the Facebook page for Audio Tool?
I think I have, but I mean, people could be picking up the slack and doing videos on their own, but it looks like all of them are by Electro. So, you know, here's a call to master Audio Tool users. Please help with the documentation and
there's this guy named Tom Sage. I'm not sure if he's on the team for Audio Tool, but that's how I met him, was on the Audio Tool thing for Facebook. And he puts out songs all the time from Audio Tool. I'll bet he would be thrilled to do some videos explaining basic use of Audio Tool. I'll have to talk to him about that.
Excellent. So, all right. So anyway, Audio Tool's been, you know, it's just time consuming to get at so I've fallen back to my bread and butter GarageBand on my Mac because
yeah, how are you going to share that with me? As what, like a MIDI file?
The plan was I will reconstruct those pieces to the best I can.
have to, because it is a completely proprietary system you are using.
I know that, and I wrote that note in there saying as such that I would re-record the pieces in Audio Tool or whatever we decide to use, because that was a conversation we had before we came on air.
And I think that I think interest has been generated on my part, and I think it has returned for you to look at Ardor, the workstation.
Yes, Ardor, yeah.
Source workstation, audio workstation.
Which I have downloaded and installed on my Mac. I just haven't. By the time I was gonna start looking at it seriously, then I started going down the Audio Tool path, and so I never went back to it. But now, based on our conversation, I think we're gonna try to go that direction, because we suspect that it's a little less time consuming, or at least we hope.
Well, I think that we're going to what we know.
And the latency issues, and we won't have the latency issues
because you'll be working on a local desktop.
Yeah, because it'll be local instead of through the cloud. So anyway, so these are a couple things that I put up, and this is the first. Let me screen share. Hold on. Screen share. Where's screen share now? Is this screen share? There we go.
Wow.
What? I haven't done this in a while. Share. And I didn't hit share last week either. Okay. So this is something that I did just prior. So this is September 1st when I did this. So it was just before we started up. So it doesn't fit any of the parameters that we've talked about. Well, I guess the one parameter it doesn't fit is that it's faster than 80 beats per minute. But let's see. Can you hear that?
No, I cannot.
That's as loud as it's.
Well, I don't think that it's important necessarily to play these out. If people want to hear them, they can go to the Soundcloud.
True. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's faint, man. Like I said, I think somebody can go to the page and listen.
Yeah. But I mean, that's all it does for the rest of it. So, and then there's this short little stem-like thing.
Yeah, it's so faint. I don't think that you're going to pick it up on the video. And like I said,
okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's another cricketing. Maybe I can adapt some cricket sounds into the recording.
Maybe you could attach a cricket to a violin bow or something.
So those are the two things I have up there now, and there we go. And like I said, I'm just putting up some things in GarageBand. Hopefully, Ardor will be a little more accepting of time constraints, and can get some pieces in there. I think the one thing I was having problems with was trying to get it to find, because I also downloaded some plugins, and it was having trouble finding the directory where I put the plugins.
Yeah, so did you have to unzip them or something like that?
Yeah, no, I did, but it was, so it's having.
As a matter of fact, are VST plugins?
Yeah, you know what it might be? It might be the fact that. What was that?
I think you leave them in the zip.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
I mean, I still have the zips.
So. Like a way to allow an application to get to a bunch of stuff that's just a single file.
I'll give it a shot. It might also be in the preference settings. I mean, there might be something I'm missing.
Very possible.
It might actually just be the the MIDI setup too. So anyway, but until then, I was planning on, recording some stems in GarageBand and putting them in SoundCloud, sharing. That way we can just kind of listen to what I'm doing. I can listen to what you're doing, and then we can kind of get an idea of direction. And then once we go into whatever platform we're going to use to record, I'll just redo it.
That makes sense.
So just so we can get the creative part of it flowing, and then we can.
However we need to do it, and I suspect that I'll probably this week is going to be a lot like last week. So I want to refine and strengthen some of my ideas, try to get the clearer sound, and try to really get back to basics on what I really want there.
Yeah, and I'm hoping the power doesn't go out this weekend, so that way if I'm stuck inside the house in a hurricane, can do some recording before the power goes out.
I do have a trusty cassette deck recorder. That battery powered.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I only have a player, and it's not very good. Actually, I may have a.
I know what you could use. You could use your. What was the name of that thing that we loved so much?
The iRiver.
The iRiver. I still have my iRiver. I mean, I bet it even still works. I think it stopped working. I think that's why I stopped using it.
I don't think it talks to my computer anymore. I think that's the problem. I don't think it has the capability of.
It was such a simple, beautiful solution. I mean, just incredible.
Yeah. Actually, I have the blue. What's the name of that? It was an attachment for the iPod Nano. Actually, for iPod, it was a microphone attachment.
And of course, the whole problem with that is how, of course, the proprietary part of that whole thing.
Right, but I mean, I could do, as long as the iPod is charged, before the power goes out, I can do some recordings on it because it has a line-in jack, so I could actually just go on my synthesizer and
imagine that something like the iRiver exists today. Don't you figure somebody makes like a handheld recorder that's just packed with space?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's I don't know what the current version. I'm sure there's still a version of that Zoom recorder that I wanted to get years ago. It's basically like a field recorder for recording in nature, recording, interviews and podcasts on the go. But it was like $200-300, and
Wow. So
if you're serial and 99% invisible, I guess you have the budget for that. But when you're doing a free podcast, free bare bones podcast like we are,
I just got to show you this. This is really cool. Yeah. All right. You should just see one screen now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look at this thing.
Okay. Well, it's weird.
It's essentially just a USB key.
Yeah.
Voice activated recorder, and that's a volume jack, I guess. Rechargeable, high sensitivity audio recorder with voice activation and 25 standby battery life.
25 day?
25 day.
So it's standby though. So if you're not using it for 25 days, you're fine.
144 hours. So you could I guess just leave it around and record everything that happens for days. Is that not the coolest thing you have ever seen? How much?
But you need
$89.
But you need to plug it in.
Well, you need to plug in the iRiver too. Oh, I don't care about the power thing. I miss my iRiver.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying is it looks like you need to have it plugged into your laptop in order to get it to work.
No, it says rechargeable, high sensitivity audio recorder with voice activation. 25-day standby battery life. It does not need to be.
Okay, so it doesn't need the USB power supply. It doesn't need that as a source of power.
No, it's just for
Yeah, I
data.
guess it's a battery. Yeah, that's right. It's battery. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking with the microphone if it was phantom power or but I guess it is. I guess it's kind of like phantom power.
I don't think most people would care. They would just be able to record. I'm going to get one of these things, I think. I think that's so cool. But I found other things too. Here's the Sony 4 gigabyte, $38. $38.
I think that was the first thing I used back when we first started.
Does it do flash memory? So got to be USB, right?
I don't know. It may not have any connectivity because I had something like that and it connected with PCs. There was like a proprietary PC link type thing. But for the first few months of technology in the arts, I used to have to just do a line out or a line in to my computer and record it in Audacity. And that's how I got the interviews off. It wasn't digital. It was analog, even though the recording was digital.
Yeah, this thing's pretty cool though. For $38 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean that looks like essentially what I had back in 2007, 2006 or whatever.
Yeah, the one thing I'm not seeing is the port for transfer. I mean, if it doesn't transfer, that sucks. $45 hours of battery life. That's really cool.
Say anything about?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, sorry. I had my head.
I saw that.
I had my head like up against my screen trying to read it. So the back of my head was actually closer to the microphone.
Anyway, I guess the iRiver lives on in different form. Oh, did you hear the Google announcements today?
I know what happened. I know the Chromecast looks pretty. The was it 3 new Chromecast? The Chromecast audio and
well, they're different colors, but it's essentially just an upgrade to the Chromecast, but same thing that my Chromecast does. What they did was the audio is amazing. Like you just plug in an 1/8-inch audio jack and it gives you Chromecast control for that audio. And like that's how I have my speakers set up. I don't have my speakers set up on the TV.
I thought I saw some. I thought I also had an RCA jack. Is that or somebody write that wrong?
I actually didn't. I missed that part.
I've only seen the 1/8-inch, like what you said, but I thought I saw somebody saying that there was a version with an RCA phono jack.
The other thing they talked about, of course, was the new Nexus phones, Nexus 5X and the Nexus 6P. And they are essentially spec upgrades for those two lines. I'm so happy that Nexus 5 got an upgrade because that's my phone and I love that phone. I think I'm going to upgrade because my phone is starting to show its age.
Yeah, well, the other thing that happened today, and going back into our old tech arts mode here for a little bit, was Edward Snowden joining Twitter.
Yeah.
And
you know why?
Well, I know. Yeah, I know.
He wanted to talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes. And there was an interview, right? They did an interview, and so did he set up the account because he suggested that account? So did he set it up because the account was made in December of 2014?
I don't think so.
But he didn't tweet until today.
Yeah, I'm sure that.
Because I saw a tweet saying that Tyson suggested during an interview with him that using that Twitter handle. So I'm wondering if he set up the Twitter handle trying to convince him to use it, and then gave him the keys to it.
I don't know if
I don't know how it played out. All I know is that the Twitter handle was created in December. But what was his first tweet? Like, can you hear me now?
I did not see it.
And I followed as soon as I saw a tweet about it. I followed him, and but you saw the only account he's following. Did you see which one? He's following one account.
I did not see it.
Guess.
The NSA.
Yep.
It's hilarious.
It is. It is. So
so we're gonna keep on working.
Yes, we are.
All right.
I think my son just woke up. By the way.
Oh, not crickets, right?
No crickets this time. It's a little bigger. 3-year-old. Oh, it was such a. We had a misadventure at church this past weekend, where he was doing pretty good. I mean, usually he likes to squirm around, but he was. I just noticed there's a question mark in the title. It's like technology in the arts, episode 77. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, so we received communion, and I had stopped him on my side because I was sitting on towards closest to the middle aisle, and he came around. And then when we came around after receiving communion, there was a woman sitting on the other end of the pew who had now left. She received communion and left. So now there was nothing blocking him on that side. And so I was on the other side. Allison was between me and the other end, the now open end, and she was holding Benjamin. And so Graham got behind us, and I'm like, you have to stop him. Give me Ben, because there's nothing stopping him. And then, Allison didn't really expect him to take off.
Did they have to stop the service?
There was a brief pause as he ran towards the altar. Yeah.
Wow.
It was embarrassing. It was like it wasn't.
Did they bring out snipers?
No.
Well, it wasn't that serious, Brian.
It was just embarrassing.
If they didn't bring out snipers, it really wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, except it's embarrassing. And you know what? What's
if
stunk?
People don't understand babies, like they don't understand.
He's 3. He should know better.
Oh, come on.
He should know better.
Please. He
should know better.
3-year-olds should be 3-year-olds. It's fine.
I know, but it was.
Who knows? You might have brought somebody joy, or he might have brought somebody joy, just because he was doing something not everybody else was doing.
Well, he didn't bring mommy and daddy joy. That's for sure.
You should find the joy in it.
Yeah. So
it looks like we have our work cut out for us.
Yes, and if we don't get flooded and wind damaged this weekend, hopefully we'll have some more stuff posted.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we completely run out of electricity, you and I will find a way to contact each other, and we'll get together and do some acoustic something.
Yeah.
All right?
Old school.
We'll
be jamming.
Nobody
doing that technology in the arts theme again.
That's right. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. For technology in the arts, my name is Brian Kelley.
And this is John LeMasney. Take care.